My name is Keelan Johnson with Penny Insurance, and we're super happy to be presenting this to you guys and everybody today. So, a little bit of background on me is I've had 25 years in the insurance business, and within that 25 years, I had a piece of that for 8 years as managing a final expense burial insurance company here in Texas and in the South. So, this is near and dear to my heart. So I enjoy speaking about this. I am very adamant about this. It's near and dear to my heart. So with that being said, we will kick it off and we will jump into burial insurance. And you're going to see some slides here today, and some of it may be a little bit redundant, but again, the point of it is to get across what the purpose of burial insurance is, what is final expense, and why families may need it. So we'll just get kicked off into here. There's going to be some bullet points in here and some things that I'm not going to just read to you, but you'll be able to read yourself as we move through here. We have protecting your family from final expenses, and that's what it is. At the end of life, there are expenses and things that come along, and we provide that protection and we provide those products to protect those families, and that's what's very important. Our goal today is to help you make a very informed decision about your burial insurance or your families or your as you move through life, your mothers, your fathers, your aunts, your uncles, and whoever, to make sure that day comes where you're not left with zero, but you're left with something to take care of that end of life and you leave a legacy. So we're going to do an educational presentation and we're going to look at some options today and learn how to plan. Again, my name is Keelan Johnson. I'm the brokerage sales manager over here at Penny Insurance. And we are a full-fledged brokerage helping agents and agencies grow and also handle any consumer needs that we need. So we're glad to help y'all out in any way possible, shape, form, or foul. Today, why we're having this conversation, there's a couple of things here. Is that every family, when you talk about final expense, you talk about passing away, it's not a matter of if that's going to happen. It's basically when. And we all will have to go through that at one point in time in our life. I lost my father about 4 or 5 months ago. And so I understand this near and dear to my heart. And also, we've protected a lot of families in the past. So every family is going to do it. And planning ahead can really help in a difficult time. I've seen a lot of families go through life and not have something. At that point in time, it causes just that question mark as to where it's going to come from. How are we going to bury? What are we going to do? Where are these costs going to come from? Because they are going to come from somewhere. So we all will have to pass that day. And so we want to protect for that. All right. So what are final expenses? So here's some of the things that you may experience depending on a couple different things, whether it's cremation or burial, but there will be some funeral home services that are required to do, whether it's a all full-blown funeral or whether it's a simplified one, whether it's a grave, whether it's a cremation, or whether it's an urn or a casket. Those will be there and are going to be there. Flowers and obituary, those things typically come around. And those, as we see everything in today's terms is going up in price, so are they. Okay, so transportation, they may have a hearse or limousine or whatever it may be to take you from the church or to the gravesite, any of that, but there can be some transportation costs in there. Medical bills, outstanding medical bills, they don't go away. So a lot of times there's some medical bills that need to be covered. And how are you going to pay for it? How are those things going to be taken care of? Maybe some small debt or some legal costs that could come along with estate planning or exit strategies. So look at those things and talk to your family and yourself about those, because those could come up and lots of times do come up at the very end of life. Financial impacts to family. Many families rely on their savings, and we've talked to people before. Well, I've got money in the bank. Well, I've got money in the bank. I've got some money to cover this. But do you really? And is that money saved for a rainy day, or is that money saved for your rest of your family versus this one actual situation to where it costs? So we hate to see everybody deplete their savings because of this when there is a policy that will cover it. Some people actually use credit cards or loans, and that's what families do, but it does create some burden in the future if you have to come out of pocket or a credit card to take care of a loved one during that time. Some people do GoFundMe's and try to raise money. And so I don't know if that's something that you're prepared to do or you want to do, but some families do that. But I prefer not to. I would prefer to have a policy to cover that. Okay, so planning ahead on some of these things can help those situations. What is burial insurance? Well, basically, it's built on the chassis of a whole life plan, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But a whole life is a permanent life insurance policy. It's not a temporary one like a term would be. It's a permanent one that should be there and will be there at the very end of life. And we want to make sure that's there and make sure it's not out of date or if it's canceled or whatever it may be. And we want to make sure it's there for the family. Typically, you do smaller coverages, maybe 10, 15, 20, $25,000. It's not built to get rich scheme. It's built for a purpose. It's built to bury someone in the proper way or however you see properly fit to take care of that. And the beneficiary, one thing that people really love about final expense and burial insurance is that it's very quick to get your claim. So again, not to beat down the process, but if someone passes away, they're going to go to the funeral home, taking care of the body and things, and then they're going to want their money. I promise you, and to take care of that. So this is a way to get a quick claim in place. Most final expense or burial companies will pay that claim within, by the time they get their death certificate, within a few days. I've even seen it be the same day. So it's not like you're waiting a month or two to plan that funeral and bury your mother and father or whoever. And it covers your final expense costs. How burial insurance works: first of all, you choose a coverage. You sit down with your advisor and you say, hey, we're planning on having a regular cremation or a burial. Well, that will be this much. The services are this much: transportation, debts, legal. And it's kind of a checkbox deal as to what you want to do. So you come up with a value there of what you're looking for, 10, 15, 20, $25,000. And that's a very good policy on final expense. That's always going to be there forever and ever. So you take an application. Most of the times that burial insurance is a very easy. There's no paramedics involved. There's no blood. There's no urine. It's some simple information that the carriers pull, maybe some medical background, typically some prescription history background that they go through. So you're not sitting there with a long drawn out process to get that application submitted. The third thing is very important that we make sure that the premiums are affordable. Sometimes we find people that buy too much, it's not affordable, and then they cancel it. Well, that doesn't do any good because it's not there anymore. So we're trying to find something that can fit into the budget and will be there, and it's allocated money, drafted to a degree. And so it's always going to be there no matter what happens, and no matter, we want to keep the policy into play. And again, that goes along with 4, the coverage remains active while the premiums are paid. That's the purpose of this, is to make it affordable. That way, every month, then you can actually afford it and it will be there and you're not having to pinch pennies and cancel your insurance. So your beneficiary files a claim when needed. Just as I said before, your beneficiary will file that claim with their death certificate typically, and it goes to the carrier, and then it is paid directly to the beneficiary. That's why it's very important on your policy to make sure the beneficiary is someone that you trust and is going to take care of you, and that will take care of the business at the very end. So who is this designed for? Adults primarily. We sell a lot of burial insurance to people between their 50s to 70s. It's kind of the time and frame where they get to looking at real life and going, well, it's time to take care of this. Make sure we check these boxes and we put this in the drawer. We take care of it, and we tell the kids that, hey, there is something when I pass, and y'all don't have to worry about it, okay? People on fixed incomes, because we want to make sure that a lot of people that are in retirement ages, they are on fixed income, which goes back to our last screen on we want to make it affordable. So it's a very, very important part of it, that we make sure that the premium is affordable on a fixed income. That way it doesn't get too much to where people drop it and cancel it, and then there's nothing at the end of life. Retirees are very good people to target, are very good for people that are retirees because they have that and they want that peace of mind. They're on fixed incomes, so they want to make sure that they'll have that in place. And, anyone wanting to leave some money for final expense, if you want to leave some money for your loved ones and you want to allocate $10,000 or $15,000 to a certain person or a certain charity or whatever it may be, we can do that too. So those are some options to think about. How much coverage do you need? Number one, just like we talked about before, we're looking at your funeral cost. We're looking at your bills. Any travel or expenses. Think about people that come from out of town. Think about kids. Think about people that are going to have to take off of work. It does have a financial burden on other people when these things happen and they have to make travel arrangements and plans. I sold a policy one time to a guy that wanted $10,000, but he had plenty of assets. And I said, why? And he said, well, because I want to make sure when my son comes down here and takes care of the estate, he has enough quick cash or money that he can take care of his travel expenses and his arrangements. And I don't want him to be out of pocket any money. Very wise decision by that man. And then you leave a little small cushion for extra expenses that, maybe, cleaning out the house, maybe an estate sale, maybe some things that need to be done to the house before it gets ready to sell. Any of those things that might be unexpected costs. Burial insurance versus traditional. We do traditional life insurance also. So we have burial. We do have variable life. So burial. Burial insurance is typically smaller benefits. Traditional is often larger amounts. That's larger amounts on the traditional, trying to cover a certain thing, certain time period, a house, land, car, debts, whatever it may be. Burial insurance has simplified purpose, and then the traditional has a broader financial protection. So the simplified purpose is for that event of death, and that's what that is designed for. Lower premiums, so you do have lower premiums on your final expense than you do on other larger policies. So again, it can be affordable with protection. And again, those higher premiums are on the other larger policies in addition to your final expense. Focused on end of life. So this is designed for people to keep and to have and to use at the end of life. And then traditional is some with income replacement. So when people lose their jobs or whatever, that's an income replacement. So two different, burial and traditional. They're both important. And I feel like in a financial plan, you need both of them. It's very good for both. Common questions that come up on this. Can I choose my beneficiary? Absolutely. You can name the person you must, or people you trust. One other thing to think about this too is if you find somebody that's on Medicaid, you need to talk to your advisor, talk to us, and talk to them about how you need to set that up. Because lots of times you can make the beneficiary the owner. That way the cash value doesn't accumulate and they drop out of Medicaid status. So think about that if you were to run across someone that's looking at that avenue. And also, I can buy one on my parents. You can buy one on somebody else. You can be the payor. You can be the beneficiary and payor, and they can be the client or the insured. So think about how we can structure those things to fit your family's needs there. Will your premium change? No. All the plans that we've dealt with and we deal with have level premiums that stay the same all the way through it. And they do gain cash value. It is a whole life policy. So you will get some cash value build up in your policy. So again, talk to your advisor, talk to us about that. And that's a very important part, because if you did, worst case scenario, 20 years down the road, need some of that cash, you can take it out. Can I keep the coverage for life? Yes, as long as the premiums are paid, they're yours. And can the funds be used for anything? Yes. Beneficiaries can use the funds for whatever they want to. It goes tax-free to the beneficiary, and they can do what they need to do with it, take care of the end of life needs. Common myths. I'm too old to qualify. Actually, no, we can, lots of carriers will go up to age 90, So am I too old to qualify? No, never too old to qualify. Is it it's too expensive. Affordable options are available to fit many tight budgets. I mean, so if we tailor it right, there might be, some air room in there that we can tailor the policy to where the face amount is enough to take care of some things, and you also have the pocketbook and the money to take care of it also. So that's where it comes into talking to your agent or talking to us about what can I afford, where can I fit this into my budget to keep it going. My family will figure it out. So this one is this is kind of I hate to say it, but kind of mean and rude, if you will. Maybe that's a bad word, but if you just say, hey, my family will figure it out, they're going to take care of it, that means you're leaving the burden to them. It really does. It means you're leaving the burden to them to figure it out. And I feel personally, just my own personal thoughts, it's my job on earth to take care of it and to make sure it's there versus somebody else having to pick up the pieces. That's just my thoughts. So, we try to get that across to people that, hey, listen, they have stuff they have to do with their money too. So let's go ahead and wrap this up. Why planning matters? Because funeral costs can add up quickly, and the cost of funerals are going up, just like milk, gasoline, everything in our world today. Medical bills and other final expenses may remain. So, yes, there are some things that are going to be there that you may not know about that your parents will have or you will have that can creep upon a family and make it a little bit uneasy when it comes to the end of life. And many families are forced to use savings and credit cards. We already kind of talked about that. Choosing the right policy, again, we're back to comparing the coverages amounts. As you see the guy at the table, policy comparison here. Look at your budget to make sure it fits there. Understand waiting periods if applicable. Some policies, depending on your health, some policies will be what we call a graded policy. That means for 2 years, if you were to pass away in the first 2 years, you would get the beneficiary would get the money back on the policy plus 10% a lot of times. So there's not a loss in premiums there. The family still does get the premiums you put in, and then after 2 years, your full coverage will kick in. So in some policies, most of the level policies are day one coverage. So that's just kind of depending on your health, and then work with a licensed agent that can write this for sure. Okay. And then kind of getting closer to the end, the value of planning ahead. We want to protect our loved ones. We want to protect them. We want that peace of mind. We call it peace of mind. The peace of mind from your family, from you knowing that this is taken care of and knowing that that's all already in the box, that's already done, and you don't have to worry about that. And it goes along with reducing the financial uncertainty. It helps ease the burden. It's a better way to finish life to a degree, to make sure that that's covered and that's taken care of. And then have a long lasting of preparation and care, a thoughtful decision. So, if your family takes care of this and it's there for you and you have to bury a loved one and that they thought enough to get a policy for you, wouldn't you want to do that for them? That's the best thing that you can help remember someone with, is they wanted to take care of you and they wanted to make sure you have this, make sure they have this so that they're not left with that burden. So what makes Penny Insurance great? We have a lot of carrier options. So we work with a lot of the dozens of the top rated carriers. So you're going to get the best pricing and the best product that's out there. We have fast applications. We have our application team and our internal team, and that application is very fast. It's all typically done, through the internet, through your email, through a signature, through a form. So it's a lot easier than just coming to your house and sitting down and filling out a paper application. If we need to, we can. And then better underwriting outcomes. So when you've got a lot of carriers and maybe you have some conditions in there, maybe you're taking some medications and things, it's very important that you have that underwriting there, that we can put you with the best carrier based upon your health conditions and your age and your income level. Clear communication. We have a case management team that is really good on following up to make sure that case gets expedited through the system. Higher approval rates. Most of our carriers right there, we know their approval rates are high because we've dealt with them in the past, so we know exactly which carrier we need to put you with. No extra cost. Brokers like Penny are paid by the insurance companies. You don't pay us a dime, okay? We are paid by the insurance company, so it's not a fee to you. And then long-term support. After the policy is issued, we can help you change the beneficiaries, do policy reviews, cover future people or family if that's what you need, and we can really have that long-term support and supporting staff there that takes care of it. And we have a great internal team, just to kind of throw this out there: a case management team, applications team, a great underwriter, great illustrations team. So you'll be taken care of, I promise, versus just one person out there with one carrier and one company trying to squeeze a square peg in a round hole and make something happen. We've got the carriers and the support there. So it's all around just a great opportunity for you to look into, the end of life or final expense for yourself, for your loved ones, and for the people around you. Okay, so it's near and dear to my heart. We would love to help you out any way you can get to one of us or advisors. Again, this is my number here. You can screenshot that. You can call me directly on my phone line there or my mobile, whatever you would like. There is my email address. I'll be glad to get you a final expense quote, and so will the rest of our team be glad to do that for you. So, Chris, with that being said, that ends kind of the funeral expense cost and final expense cost webinar that we have here today. Once again, my name is Keelan Johnson, the brokerage sales manager over here at Penny Insurance, and we would love to help you out in your business.